DATV, and the Greater Dayton Area League of Women Voters present Meet the Candidates, your chance to learn about the candidates running for office in the November election.
Hello, I'm Patty Stilken. I'm a proud member of the League of Women Voters, and today I'm having a discussion with Jim Gross, who is the campaign manager for the new levy for the Five Rivers MetroParks, and Becky Benet, who is the executive director of the Five River MetroParks. We're going to talk about that levy, what it's going to cost you, what they're going to do, what they do, so you'll know how to vote. Jim, let's start with you. Tell me who will be voting on this, people that live where, what geographic areas?
The voters who can vote for this live in Montgomery County, so it's only for Montgomery County voters, and there happens to be about 375,000 registered voters in Montgomery County. So folks from the city of Dayton, all of the suburbs, and all of the townships from all the way north, Englewood, all the way south down to Washington Township, Miamisburg. We go east to Mad River, and we go all the way west to Brookville. We go to Germantown, Jefferson Township. So everyone in Montgomery County gets an opportunity to vote for Five Rivers MetroParks.
It's a lot bigger than we think it is, isn't it? Becky, you're the executive director. Tell me, what's the overall mission? What are you out to do?
Well, our mission is to protect our natural heritage, provide outdoor experiences that inspire people to get connected to nature. And we do that through a variety of ways. We have 16,000 acres of property that we manage and maintain and care for. And we offer a variety of programs, outdoor education programs, getting kids connected to nature programs, conservation, teaching people how they can conserve and protect their natural areas or even in their own backyard, getting outdoors and being active. One of the most popular amenities that people have told us they enjoy are our trail system. And we have a variety of types of trails, including hiking, backpacking, biking, horseback riding, kayaking, and just a variety of ways people can get around. Mountain biking is another one that many people may not know that we actually offer here in the region.
That's amazing. You just told me about a lot of things I didn't know. As horses. Where do they get the horses?
Right. We have a equestrian riding center at Carriage Hill Metro Park, and people can actually take lessons out there. Kids can sign up for camps. We give trail rides, and we actually have pony rides for the younger kids. So they get an exposure to what it's like to be on a horse or be around horses. And then there are various trails through several of our metro parks that people can bring their own horses to and go out and go horseback riding.
I'm a horse lover, so I had to expand on that question. How many people visit these parks annually? I'm going to stick with you, Becky.
Sure. In 2017, we had 3.6 million visits to our metro parks. And again, I think because we have such a variety of locations that people can go to and enjoy, and the choices of things to do are so varied, I think that's what attracts people to those metro parks.
I would think so. I don't know who wants to. You've got something to say.
I do. I would just like to add to that 3.6 million number. I mean, that is a really, really large number, but if you put it in context to how many residents there are in Montgomery County, there's 540,000 residents, but 3.6 million visits. So we have a lot of citizens that visit the parks more than once on an annual basis. And even the data show that close to 3/4 of the residents of Montgomery County go to MetroParks more than once in a year.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of return business, aren't you? It's just,
for good reason.
It's the name of the game, hang on to your customers.
Yeah.
What does it mean? I don't know which one of you wants to answer this one. What does it mean that you're accredited? Accredited by who and for what?
Sure. I'll answer that. We are accredited, so the National Recreation Park Association is our national professional organization, and we have been accredited since 2016, which mainly what that says, it verifies that we meet the national standards established by our professional organization. There's only about 170 organizations, park and recreation type of agencies in the country who've been able to meet those standards and become accredited. And I like to brag a little bit because there's 151 of them. We met 100% of them. And for us, I think how that translates to the community and the services that we provide is we have to evaluate everything we do. We are evaluated by colleagues who come in and actually evaluate every service that we provide. And we believe that we're meeting those standards. That translates into providing better service and facilities and programs and parks to our community.
You know, on some of the information they gave me, I discovered that you in 2016 created a master plan.
We did.
You've got a strategic plan. I was impressed.
Yes, thank you.
That's how things get done. Tell us a little bit about that. You can both jump in here.
Sure.
How are you sticking to the plan? Are you
Yes.
able to? Now, I know we've had some revenue reductions, and we're going to get to that a little bit later.
Sure.
But tell me about that master plan. What's your priorities?
Sure. And actually, because of the challenges, one of the reasons we entered into this analysis process and developed that comprehensive master plan was to make sure that we were focused on what the community says, it's what the priorities are for it. And with challenges of revenue and being able to contain or maintain the services that we provide and meet the needs of the community, that 10-year plan was very much driven by the community. We sought public input in a variety of ways, and it became our guide for now until the future. And that plan doesn't sit on a shelf. We do have an implementation plan. We are in the process of updating all of our local park master plans that we have for our various parks to make sure that we're continuing to talk to the community and develop and plan for the future based on what they tell us. So it really is our guide. It's the community's guide. It's what the community told us is important. And we have an implementation plan, as I mentioned, so we are constantly tracking what the recommendations were from that, updating it on an annual basis.
It's impressive. Jim?
Think about that for a second. So when the voters go to the poll, or if they vote early, they know exactly what it is that they are supporting. So there's no questions in their mind on what the funds are going to be used for. The funds are going to be used for exactly what the public said that they wanted for the next 10 years. So it's like going to the store almost and saying, okay, this is something that I really want. I helped design this, and now I'm willing to support it going forward. So there's no questions. I think it's rare that we get to go to the polls and say, okay, I'm going to pull the lever here or color the dot or whatever it is that we're doing, and I know exactly what that support means. You know, this is a rare opportunity, I think, and I think Becky and her team's done a wonderful job getting all of this public input to create the plan, because it's the people's plan. They simply took what the people said they wanted and put it in the plan, and now they're going to implement that plan for the next 10 years, provided that the people provide the support by going to the polls.
And specifically, there are some priorities that we are adhering to based on what the public told us. The first is to continue to protect and maintain and manage our natural areas, our parks, our waterways, and our wildlife habitats. That's one. The next one is to provide clean, safe parks, making sure our parks continue to be clean, make sure we do have a ranger, we have ranger staff who are actually law enforcement officers who patrol all of our 18 clean, safe parks and our bikeways and other natural areas and conservation areas that we have. And they work very closely with the other jurisdictions to make sure that they're out in the public, they're seen, they're being proactive, so they're guiding people. We also have a priority to connect people to nature, as I mentioned, finding ways with our busy world, just like myself, tearing myself away from the computer or from our screens and getting kids outdoors and getting them active, providing healthy, active lifestyles. Very important, as I mentioned, trails are what people have said they want us to continue to improve. How do we connect our parks to other trail systems and neighborhoods? And then also providing spaces for destinations such as our 2nd Street Market, which many people go to maybe to buy, but it's also a very popular place for meeting your friends and family, and just having some social time there. Or our events and festivals, which were very high on the list of what people said they wanted us to continue to work with our community, other community organizations and partners to provide, like at Riverscape, our German Fest, our Celtic Fest. And then also we have throughout the Park District 44 shelters, small and large, that people can go to have family reunions or picnics or get-togethers. So those were the major priorities that people identified. So everything we're focused on was working towards making sure that we meet those priorities.
You know, I was reading some things about the park system. I don't remember where. But clearly you're very much environmentalist too, aren't you?
Yes.
A subject that I wish everybody would pay attention to
Yes.
because it's important. That you can provide all these services and all this fun and still be a good citizen
Right.
and help take care of our
Right.
planet.
And there's the things I just talked about really lead us to that. We are a conservation agency. That's who we are. But if people don't value the idea of conservation and our natural areas and protecting open spaces, it's hard to get them to say, yeah, you know, I want to continue to support MetroParks. So through recreation efforts, through outdoor education efforts, through our events, if we can get people into our parks and hopefully they see the wonderful assets that are out there in the community and that their families can benefit from, we believe that also then in turn creates in their minds a value for what MetroParks has to offer in the county.
Let's talk about money. Where do your funds come from? How do you get the money that you need to run this incredible organization?
Well, 80% of the funds used by MetroParks comes from the levy. And this levy is a temporary replacement levy plus a small increase. And it is designed to bring in $18.1 million. And so that money will be used to do all of the good things that Becky's just talked about. So again, it's 80% of the Five Rivers MetroParks budget.
Where's the other 20 come from?
The other 20 comes from things such as grants and fees that are paid by residents to maybe rent the shelters that Becky talked about. And there's various other ways to get a little bit of money. One of the big challenges, quite frankly, is that over the last 10 years, there has been a reduction in the amount of money coming from the state of Ohio. So right now, the passage of issue 6 is even more important just because, you know, Big Brother in Columbus has reduced the amount of money almost to nothing, correct, coming from the state of Ohio. So, you know, this levy is extremely important to fund what MetroPark and all of the citizens say that they want for the next 10 years.
That's interesting to know. It's really Montgomery County taking care of itself pretty much, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I think another thing that allows us to continue to do, and it's been identified by our communities, is that they want access to our parks, meaning free access. And this allows us to continue to provide these wonderful parks, I like to say, at no cost in terms of getting into the park. In some places, there are places where organizations have decided to charge an admission to get into a park. I used to live in Arizona, and that happens at their county park system. And we don't want to do that. We want to make these parks accessible to folks so that everyone can enjoy them. So, you know, we really are about trying to find ways, and we have continued. We created a foundation to help us with special projects, which allowed us, through fundraising efforts, to develop scholarships for folks who, if we do have fees for specific programs or rentals, uses of our shelters and campground or camping areas, is those scholarships can help folks. This foundation was created in 2014 as a response to the loss of revenue that we have experienced over the last 8 to 9 years. And so we are trying to look at alternative ways to bring in revenue, but because we are such service-based, that levy is so important to us in terms of funding, as Jim mentioned, about 80% of our budget.
We're going to keep talking about money for a few more minutes here.
Sure.
Obviously, with the financial issues that have been jumping all over everybody recently, you've probably have less revenue than you're used to, than you need. Are you having to eliminate things or do things that you didn't want to do? How do you handle that?
Sure. So when we started to see, and it really did start to happen in around 2011, 2012, where we started to see reductions coming from the state, the property values had dropped, so we were getting less funding from the levy that had just passed in 2009. So we then started looking at how do we deal with this, and the easy answer is to cut, cut, cut. But that was not our approach. Our approach was, yes, look for savings in expenses. How can we become more efficient in alternative revenue? How can we work with other community partners to offer services such as our events that we do, really looking at how we can partner with them for improvements, and also looking at how do we continue to maintain the services, evaluate ourselves, and to be honest, accreditation really did help us really evaluate where are we focused. Are we focused on the mission? And it really made us go back and look at ourselves, evaluate what we're doing. And so I think through the combination of all those things, that has held us to making sure we stay focused on the mission and use the dollars that we are provided to be able to continue to maintain the services that we have provided over this last levy period. Yes, it's been challenging. People ask me, well, what about your staffing? Well, our staffing has really actually been reduced. And that, again, because we want to make sure that we can continue to provide those services and look at ourselves effectively in terms of how do we use our staff that we do have. And we have a wonderful volunteer program that they actually do help us provide some of the services that are out in the community.
Jim, we're still talking about money. This is a replacement levy. I'd like you to explain to the viewers how that works, and then I have a follow-up question after you get to that.
Okay, the replacement levy, I want to build a little bit on what Becky just talked about. Back in 2010, that levy, and it's what's being replaced, was really scheduled to bring in about $17.9 million, whereas currently it's bringing in only $16 million. So due to that reduction in property values, there's that much less money coming in. So a lot of people are actually viewing this as a way for MetroParks to simply get their funding back to where they had it back in 2010. And in fact, their budget right now is $4 million less in 2018 what it was in 2010. So it's a very, very unique situation that they're in right now. But this replacement levy is a 1 mil levy, so that's the same millage, okay?
1.8.
1.8, what did I say?
1.8 mil, that's all right.
So it's 1.8 mil plus a small 0.2 increase. Okay, let's cut through all those kind of numbers and say, what does it mean to me? So if you have a home valued at $100,000, you are currently paying $4.35 or $4.35 a month. The addition from this replacement plus 0.2 would add $1.48. So on a per month basis, if you add the current $4.35 and the $1.48, you're going to be paying less than $6 a month total. for this levy and to do the things that Becky's just described, that the people said that they want
It's a real
for the
bargain.
next 10 years.
It's a bargain, isn't it?
It's a phenomenal bargain, and I'm a lifelong Daytonian, okay? And I've been a huge advocate for these parks for a long time. I have never heard anyone say, I would really like to pay a small fee every time I go to the park, okay? Nor
think
have
you're ever gonna hear that.
Nor have I heard anyone say, let's shrink the park system, okay? Let's shrink it, let's take away some of the parks. We know that they're saying, let's not do any expansion, and that's part of the master plan, is to not really grow things, but to take care of the park system as it is.
If this levy passes, and in a minute I'm going to let you recite a very impressive list of supporters for this levy. If this levy passes, will you be able to implement your master plan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so this will put
absolutely.
everything back on track.
It continues to allow us to, we began implementation of the master plan in 2016. And so we have initiatives for the next 10 years that we're focused on. This allows us to continue to implement those initiatives, yes. And what Jim said too, the public did tell us, take care of what we have. Take care of our parks, make sure that they continue to be high quality, that they're safe, and that they're clean. And we will continue to also look at opportunities outside of ourselves to continue to partner with other agencies. We believe, you can't do it by yourself these days. So looking at our community partners to continue to find new improvements that we can offer to the community, focus on our trail connections that people have said is important. But to do that, not alone, but with our other community organizations and partners.
Jim, as the campaign manager, you are probably very proud of your long list of endorsements. Tell us who has endorsed passing this levy.
It's a really unique situation that we're in, and it's an enviable situation. I think every sort of issue that puts their topic on the ballot would love to have the endorsements that we have. And it is led, I believe, by the endorsement of the Montgomery County Democratic Party and, I'll emphasize the and, the Montgomery County Republican Party. So we have both of the local parties who have really joined together and said, our park system is a wonderful asset in our community, and it improves the quality of life for our people. And they have agreed that they're going to support it together. In addition to that, we have the League of Women Voters who have endorsed this that we're really proud of, and thank you very much for that. The Fraternal Order of Police, the NAACP have endorsed this, and there is a really, really long list after that. And it's not that those people aren't important, because all those entities and people have endorsed this are truly important, but we have this unique list of folks who have joined together and said Five Rivers MetroParks is extremely important to all of our citizens. It's important to the economic vitality, quite honestly, of Montgomery County, and we want to pass this thing. And we are just so grateful to have that. But it's really important to note, you do not get those kind of endorsements if you don't have a really good product at a really good value. And I think we have both of those in Five Rivers MetroParks.
The League of Women Voters is, as you mentioned, we do support this levy. I always do a little spiel about the League. We are a completely nonpartisan organization. We never support or oppose a candidate or a political party. We do frequently take stands on issues, but only if every simple member of the League throughout the country wants us to. I mean, we actually survey these issues. So if we get all excited about something, it's because we all are. And of course, we have members that are Republicans, Democrats, Tea Partiers, Communists. I don't know what we have. We have everything. I want to wind this up a little bit here. I was a park kid myself back when the park that I played on and grew up on was not much, and it's amazing now. It's a whole rec center with a pool and everything else. It is an important issue. It's our community taking care of itself. We've got about maybe a minute and a half left. Is there anything else you two would like to say before we close? I think we've reassured people this is not going to break the budget.
It's not going to break the budget. It really will not. Again, I think it's a really good product for an unbelievable value. And we also know, in addition to all those people who have endorsed us, we know that an overwhelming majority of our citizens support Five Rivers MetroParks. But there's one thing we don't know. We don't know that they're going to go vote for issue 6, okay? So we love their support, but we need for them to take action. We need for them to either vote early, like there's a lot of people right now that are voting early, but also go to the polls as well on November the 6th. So again, we need you to take action. We need more than just your support. We need for you to vote for issue 6.
And I hope they all do. We're going to have to wind it up. We're going to run out of time here. I want to thank everybody at DATV. They give us, for nothing, they contribute their time, their expertise, their equipment, so that we can bring you these kinds of discussions. And I think everybody's for the park system, for crying out loud. For a cup of coffee every month, why wouldn't you vote for it?
Thank you.
Thank you both for being here. It's been a pleasure. And hopefully we've changed the way things are going to turn out.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for watching, and good night.